Going to call to order the collective committee meeting for the City of Avon Lake Council at 7 o'clock on June 15th. The first order of business is the oath of office for Police Officer Eric Richards. I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Yes, we do have an oath of office for Eric Richards. A little bit about Eric. He brings 17 years of experience to the department. He graduated from Cleveland Heights Police Academy and was employed by RTA Police Department since 2009. He had quite a distinguished career at RTA. He achieved the rank of sergeant in 2016 and was most recently the detective sergeant at the Detective Bureau. He is also a range instructor, and a member of the RTA SWAT team, firearms instructor, and currently teaches cadets at the Lorain County Community College, as well as Cleveland Heights Academy and Opata. Did I miss any places you teach? Excellent. Eric has also worked for 7 years as a part-time officer for Bratnall. He will be working alongside his brother, K-9 Officer Nick Blankenship. Eric is married to his wife, Corey, and has 2 children, McKenna and Jameson. So Eric, if you'd like to come up here.
I would tell anyone, if you want to take pictures, feel free to stand up, move around. Someone wants to come behind us, they can do that as well.
Everybody all set? You guys want to come in? No? You good? Okay. All right, Eric, you can raise your right hand or repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Eric Richards,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the laws and ordinances of the City of Avon Lake,
and the laws and ordinances of the City of Avon Lake,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duty of police officer
discharge the duty of police officer
in the Avon Lake Police Department
in the Avon Lake Police Department
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance in said office.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Eric, I got a couple things for you to sign here. All right, there we go. Sign each one of those there.
Thank you, sir. No, no. I don't know this.
All right, thank you.
Congratulations. Next on our agenda.
Before you
go
go on,
ahead.
if you all want to get some pictures, we can do that right after the next swearing in. We'll take a little break if that's okay.
That's
They can
fine.
take a few pictures? Okay.
All right, next on the agenda is the oath of office for Police Lieutenant Troy DeCenzo. I didn't have my glasses on, you know. So come on up and
Well, we got
Mayor,
good.
go
Just a
ahead.
couple words before he comes up. Troy was hired by Avon Lake Police Department in 2017. Troy graduated from the Polaris Police Academy in 2014 and served with the Notre Dame College Police and the Brunswick Hill Police Department. As a patrol officer, Troy assisted with the Field Training Officer Program and also spent a year as the School Resource Officer at Learwood Middle School before he's promoted to Sergeant in 2023. Troy's current duties will include the lead's TAC officer in charge of the Law Enforcement Automated Data System and the patrol lieutenant in charge of the traffic program and intoxilizer program. All right, Troy.
Come on up.
Thanks.
All right, if you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Troy DeCenzo,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the
of
Constitution
the United
of
States,
the United States,
the Constitution of the State of
the
Ohio,
Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the laws and ordinances of the City of Avon
the
Lake,
laws and ordinances of the City of Avon Lake,
and that I will faithfully,
and will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
impartially
discharge the duties of lieutenant
discharge the duties of lieutenant
to the best of my ability
to the best of my abilities,
to the continuance during my continuance in said position.
during my continuance in said position.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Now, if the families want to get some photos, please go ahead. If it's okay with the council president.
It's
please,
fine.
1 minute break and you guys can get some photos.
Well, we take a couple minute break for everybody to take some pictures, and you're all welcome to stay if you like to.
Something that plugs in, I've got to go in my office.
We need him to sign this off. Troy.
Troy? You just got, I have one.
Yes. See blank sheets of paper. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Welcome.
Thanks again, sir.
Congratulations.
Good to see you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, I did.
Didn't make it back, did it? Yeah, I always bring an extra. I was gonna walk it.
The administration get this. Yeah, I was gonna mention. Did Lynn get one?
This is the first I've seen of it,
Yeah,
I know.
well, I know.
Oh, it just came in.
Yeah, I know.
I'd probably not. Yeah, I'll have to take some time to look at that.
Oh, yeah. It's about salary,
Congratulations.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
She had a copy.
Okay, next on the agenda, congratulations and good luck to the officers that were just sworn in, is public input. Anyone wishing to address council may come forward and speak to any topic. They have 5 minutes to do so. Mr. Haas, we need your name and the city you live in, please.
Good evening. My name is Bob Haas. I live in Ward 1 in Avon Lake. And I appreciate your time, and I'll try to move through this as quickly as possible. But I want to begin with, as they say on TV, the opinions I'm going to express on my own, not those of the CIC. So We had this on our agenda for last week, but we didn't have a quorum, so we didn't have any input from the other CIC directors. And I want to talk about the job growth incentive plan. I'll just refer to it as the plan. I understand that the original purpose of the plan, it was designed to encourage business investment, support job creation, and signal that Avon Lake welcomes businesses and economic growth. Those are legitimate goals, and I do not question the good intentions behind the program. I believe, however, that the plan should end after the 2025 payouts. Over the 14 years that the city has paid more than $1.6 million in rebates, yet there is no clear evidence that the plan has had a meaningful impact on attracting new businesses, retaining the businesses that are here, or encourage them to grow the business. The latest rebates, often more than $30,000, went to the city's largest employees, while small and mid-sized businesses were either unaware of the program or unsure what to do with the relatively small checks they received. I could find no meaningful performance measures demonstrating that the plan works. Avon Lake should support local businesses through a thoughtful economic development strategy, but this plan appears at best to be a well-intentioned program with little measurable return on $1 million public investment. The Economic Development Committee, and I intended to speak at their committee earlier tonight, but we all ran out of time, has had the plan under review since the beginning of the year and is now considering new legislation. And I understand that's still in draft form. Mr. Shamir was kind enough to share with me and the other directors on the CIC at least a draft of that ordinance. It's probably directionally correct, even though it may not be in exact legal format. But they're considering that new legislation, yet instead of ending a costly program with limited demonstrated impact, it will likely propose an ordinance that will revise and continue it. The key changes raise several concerns. One, it creates an annual $25,000 award for businesses that best meets the ordinance criteria. In practice, those criteria are likely to favor the city's largest employers year after year. More fundamentally, if the original plan did not meaningfully attract, retain, and encourage business, there is little reason to believe that a smaller award will produce a better result. Secondly, in my view, it creates a complex and time-consuming award panel composed of 4 business leaders, city officials, council, and CIC members to review applications and recommend a winner. That is not the best use of everyone's time and attention. The city does need a stronger way to encourage business leaders and engage with them, but a business roundtable would be a more effective alternative. As outlined in the R&R, a roundtable can engage more businesses, encourage substantive dialogue, and offer a stronger potential return on investment than a single annual award. 3, the proposed ordinance creates a dedicated fund for economic development using the current plan formula tied to increased payroll tax revenue. That approach raises 2 concerns. First, it will generate more funding in strong economic periods and less during downturns when strategic investment may be most needed. Second, it commits money before the city has determined what economic development activities should be pursued in 2027 and beyond, or whether an amount such as the 2025 pool, approximately $155,000, is too much, too little, or just right. A sounder approach would be to identify priorities first, develop clear short and long-term plans, estimate the cost, and then fund priorities through the administration's and council's normal budget process. That is how the city has approached other major initiatives, and the same discipline should apply here. This work should be done collaboratively between the administration and council. You already have in place the discussions around a framework and a strategic plan going forward. And I'll just finish. It's clear that the city needs to focus more on economic development. As you talk about potential ways to raise additional revenue, it is critical that we stop a program that uses or returns payroll tax dollars to companies. It's just not a good investment. That money should be focused directly and strategically on improving the payroll and the investment in our businesses in the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Haas. Anyone else wishing to come up and address council? Come on up, state your name, city you live in. You have 5 minutes. You want to pass something out?
Yes. I have 12 copies here. Because we have 12 people up here.
Thank you.
I know I've given some of this information already.
Your name and city
My
you live
name
in.
is Mike Sinobrnia, and I live in Avon Lake, Ohio, and I'm an Avon Laker. At least I consider myself an Avon Laker. What I did I put together LDL cholesterol, HBP, which is high blood pressure, and diabetes. And it just so happens these 2 pages are going to give you the answers as to how they're connected. I put down the list of everything that causes bad cholesterol, known as lower density level cholesterol. We do not want to live with lower density level cholesterol. We want to live with HDL, which is higher density level cholesterol. That's the good cholesterol that we need to stay healthy and alive. So what a person does is when they have bad cholesterol, they go to a doctor, and the doctor puts them on a statin drug. As you'll see, I outlined it very simple. The statin drug inhibits the liver, which needs sugar to create cholesterol. So since the liver is inhibited, it kicks the sugar into the bloodstream. And that creates, so now a person not only has bad cholesterol, they have diabetes. And everything that I listed here also, plus a couple more I've listed underneath, create high blood pressure. Doctors give us drugs. Those prescription drugs create side effects. And they put those side effects on television. Sometime I'm going to tell you why they do that, because you'll be surprised. It was actually an act of the United States Senate and Congress leading to the president I believe it was, I'm not sure of the year, I think 2007. And they wanted people to know the side effects so they could hold the doctors accountable, but not the drug companies. But that was some time back. So on page 1, I give you LDL cholesterol, high blood pressure, and how does it relate to diabetes? 95% of diabetics are type 2. 5% of diabetics are type 1. And every pre-diabetic is heading to type 2 diabetes. So doctors, they've been recommending artificial sweeteners, which are really started out as experimental drugs until they found out the drugs tasted sweeter than sugar. And then they used the word diet, especially to gain the women. And it's not diet to lose weight. These artificial sweeteners, every one of them, from saccharin in 1879 to date, are diet to gain weight, not lose weight. That's reversible by giving up the artificial sweeteners and exercise and proper diet. Cinnamon, they say, they use the term cinnamon. They don't tell us that there's only 2 types of cinnamon in the world. One is Ceylon cinnamon, and the other is cassia cinnamon. And according to the World Scientific Association, cassia cinnamon is the bastard type of cinnamon that makes everyone worse. And it's another way to be sick, and it's another way to cause headaches, other side effects. And cassia cinnamon gains weight, and it worsens every case of diabetes. So at one time they did that, and one time those doctors recommended honey. I'm glad they do not do that anymore. For thousands of years, people thought honey was healthy. Honey the sugar in honey chemically transforms into refined sugar, and it takes 4 times longer for the body to detoxify the existing refined sugar than it does organic cane sugar or sugar from fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. So I'm running out of time here, but I do have all this in here. And St. John's University, that started researching saccharin, discovered it tasted sweeter than sugar in 1874, and they had it officially legalized as a sweetener. They used the term artificial sweetener. So what I'm doing is, you're looking at potentially close to $300 billion a year on the taxpayers, unless we can get the doctors on our side and off of the side of big pharma, big biotech, and big chema. Because we can give the money to them, or we can have a very affordable universal health care where nobody has to buy medical or dental insurance, and you guys, nobody will need it, and you guys, local, county, state, federal government, can pay down all your debts fast. My friend Jim, who was the Ford cost analysis, he said he liked my Buy the Math program. I'm done. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Thank you for the handout. Everyone, I'm sure will look at them.
I hope so, because you're really looking at the answers as long as you realize who's collecting the money and the money should be going to the rest of us.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to come forward? Good evening, Mr. Phillips.
Good evening. Gerald Phillips, Avon Lake, data centers, the moratorium. If you look in section 1 of the proposed ordinance, it makes a reference to all review procedures. That should incorporate the code section 1214, conditional uses, site plans, subdivision plats, and rezoning. And if you look in section 2, it has an extension for 6 months. I believe you should just eliminate that and just put language that it may be extended at the expiration depending upon additional consideration. I don't think you should tie yourself into 6 months. Section 3, when they talk about bodies, you could add the BZA and the city council. And as far as data centers, I think it's important that you have public hearings for the citizens and input. And any regulation of data centers, if you want to protect yourself from any kind of lawsuits, you should make it part of a comprehensive study and analysis. It should be part of a CLUP, the comprehensive land use plan. You have to review what zoning is, the police power. And you can regulate them based on the public health, safety, morals, and welfare. And therefore, you really need to make sure you do that analysis in case of any future challenges. At the Planning Commission, they talk about the sizes. They were the small, medium, and hyperscale. And it was mentioned that they had it potentially in B1, B2, B3, and LI. If you're going to allow it, then it should only be in heavy industrial, L2. The Planning Commission basically stayed their consideration of the data centers because they knew it was going to be a moratorium. And you had two ways to deal with the data centers. You can totally exclude them, or you can try to regulate them through a conditional use. I'm working with Brown Hill Township and New Russia Township citizens in connection with their current land use plan. So we're looking at those issues of excluding versus conditional use. At the Planning Commission, there was an issue that came up about whether or not data centers are in the code. Well, in 1216.05 B4, it says prohibited uses, and there's a table. It says a blank indicates that a use is prohibited in the respective zoning district. So under the code, data centers aren't listed, and therefore it should be prohibited. But it also says any use not specifically listed shall be considered prohibited unless allowed in accordance with Division D of this section. And in Section D, they talk about giving the code administrator the ability to determine if a proposed use is permitted with standards, conditional, or prohibited. And the code administrator can look at data centers and see if it's related to any other use, which is any of the other districts, and then make that determination. And I believe that, that data centers is not similar to anything there. So if, for example, the code administrator, who is Austin Page, determines that it's not, then the applicant could appeal it to the BZA and then ultimately to Common Pleas Court. On the economic development, when you were talking about the power plant development, I think all those questions should be in writing. They should include A through G plus any additionals by council. And I think council should see them before they're sent out to ALERG. We had a promotion for Patrolman Mr. DeCenzo. Well, Mr. DeCenzo was the patrol officer who falsified my disorderly conduct ticket. And the judge from the Avon Lake Municipal Court clearly said that the police department of Avon Lake altered that ticket. And it's interesting that he took an oath of office to uphold the constitutions of the United States and Ohio, but yet, by him falsifying that ticket, he violated my civil rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Anyone else wishing to come forward? Good evening, Chief.
Good morning, or good evening. Steve Peters, live in Vermillion, Ohio, acting fire chief here at the city. This is in regard to the pay issues that is going to be coming up through Human Resources and the Collective Committee meeting. Police and fire are paramilitary organizations based on specific but rank structure. Police and fire departments are importantly kept at a relatively non-influential system. Reasoning, the police and fire departments have direct responsibility to the public safety and should serve the public at the best ability. Municipal police and fire departments primarily promote within their department structure through objective testing administered through a nonpartisan process that is conducted through civil service. Promoting within allows the department to grow and churn at a normal controlled level, feeding on their own culture and competitiveness to be a better department. And believe me, firemen are competitive. Outside hiring has a potential to stagnate a department where there is little incentive for growth, ideas, and desire to do better as upward mobility becomes unavailable. Last week, I met with the law director and human resources on a separate issue regarding some civil service roles in which Law Director Ebert explicitly stated that police and fire should absolutely be under the control of Civil Service Commission. He stated that other departments may not necessarily need to be under Civil Service Commission, but with police and fire need to be somewhat autonomous with their ability to function for the public and away from political influences. The reason for Civil Service Commission, what do they serve? They exist primarily to eliminate the spoil system, which will ensure no political favoritism in governmental hiring. Creates a competitive, independent commission from political influence. This also places a layer between the administration and the employee who is working at his capacity to serve the public and not a political agenda. Compensation. Every 3 years, the city and the union negotiate for competition, time off, and work roles of the department, which are known as a collective bargaining agreement. Firefighters, lieutenants, captains fall under this agreement. The pay is structured upon step or paid grade, as others may know them. Each rank has a percentage increase, which is factored as they promoted to the next level. Currently, your lieutenants receive a 13% increase over firemen, captains receive a 13% over the lieutenant, and the fire marshal position, which is currently a captain, receives an additional bonus of 3.5% over the shift captain. The fire chief and the assistant chief are not included in the bargaining unit and not covered under the CBA. They have always had a significant increase in the pay for these positions. When promoted to these positions, they lose substantially on their own time, benefits based on their work week percentages, and forego all overtime. Prior to 2022, the administration of the fire department consisted of a fire chief, 2 assistant chiefs, 2 part-time inspectors, and an administrative assistant. In 2022, the city no longer wanted to have 2 assistant chiefs and wanted to place one of those assistant chiefs back to a captain's position for several reasons. This would cut in wages, and also realize they were not in compliance with some FLSA rules for that current position. It was agreed upon to restructure the department, eliminating one assistant chief's position, but we'd also go to a complete rank differential for the whole department. This gave a 15% differential to both the assistant chief and the fire chief. The fire administration was also wanting more parity with the time off benefits that is applied in this collective bargaining agreement, which you lose when you promote into the administrative side. We could not come to a resolution on the time off aspects. The ordinance giving us the rank differentials is ordinance 22-19 and 22-20. It was passed on March 14th of 2022. I'm unsure of the actual ordinance number removing one of the assistant chiefs to the captain's position. But ordinance 2374 recognizes latest staffing for the fire department, which was passed on April 24th, 2023. Pay based on ranges and administration through the mayor or recommendation by the mayor potentially places this position in jeopardy of being political. It reverses the agreement made by the city in removing one assistant chief position and potentially stagnates the department from its own internal growth. What happens when the mayor does not get along with the chief's decision, or when two entities butt heads on something? Will the chief get slighted on his range? And I'm not pointing out at our mayor here or anything along those. I get along with Mark very well. As listed in these job descriptions, these pay ranges put the administration potentially pay rate two ranks below who they are supervising. Currently, the city has captain's annual salary at $123 with the ability of significant overtime. But who will be willing to promote? What are you saying to the membership? Will we not have great quality candidates seeking employment with Avon Lake? What effect will it have on the department in the long term? Got 10 more seconds if you want to hear.
You can have 15 if you like. You can have
Okay.
30 seconds.
So infamously, there was a Gallagher report that came out based on some salaries and comparable department with not really comparable departments and similar demographics. I would like to see what the latest pay ranges came from them taking it, and are they talking all benefits? Avon Lake currently's assistant chief and chief's base salaries are competitive, but for the area where they lack as many benefits is overtime for meetings, out of work emergencies, forced holiday work days, stipends for certifications, paramedic certification, fitness, and time off benefits, less holiday or percentage of work week for the same department.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to come forward? Good evening, Mr. Zimmerman.
William Zimmerman, Avon Lake. The corruption continues. The acting chief just made some interesting comments about what goes on in our fire department. Jeremy didn't get along with the mayor. So that's why he was pushed out. And all of that will come out in the future in the lawsuit that's currently in Cuyahoga County. So, talking about the corruption continuing, I'm very surprised that Officer DeCenzo's promoted to lieutenant after he falsified documents in Mr. Phillips' ticket case. Nobody wanted to bring charges against him. I stood up here and waved at you both of the tickets to show how they were altered. There were 6 or 7 different ways. But that didn't matter because Devers won't prosecute. Just like in my case, I have people from ALERG threatening me in the audience. Mr. Reynolds heard it. He made a statement about it, and your office did nothing except ignore it. Another time that the man who's in charge of our safety department didn't act like he was in charge because he's worried about a deal with ALERG down the road. We don't want to act bad faith because it wouldn't be proper to actually have law-abiding officers that are on duty. Mr. Tibbetts, who Mr. Phillips and I made several public records requests, still hasn't fulfilled them. Nobody in the police department has. He's retired now. scenario that goes on and on. Same kind of events over and over. Our police department is corrupt. Our safety director is corrupt. I don't understand, as I say 100 times, why these things continue. Why is there selective enforcement? Why is there selective prosecution? Isn't the standard to be the Constitution of Ohio? And yet we don't follow it. We don't care. Mr. DeCenzo should never have been promoted. He violated his oath of office. Military people who violate their oath of office are court-martialed. Yet that doesn't happen in Avon Lake. Don't worry, we got your back, the good old boys. Boys in blue, we're there for you. We pay their salary. I had an argument with the chief the other day about that. So you guys don't understand. Every citizen in this city you work for. We pay your salary. And yet we can't get information. We can't have discussions. And we surely can't get prosecution by divas. Man should be forced to resign or fired. This matter is not going away. I'll bring it up every week when I come up here. I'm tired of these kinds of events. As I've said many times, the mayor shouldn't have both hats as the safety director and the mayor. I think somebody needs to stand up at some point and point out that these events continue to happen in Avon Lake. Nobody cares. The complacency is amazing to me. The ignorance is worse. Some point, sometime, the citizens will be tired of it all. You'll all be out of office. Just gonna take a little more time, that's all. It's just continual disappointment. I spoke real quick on a different issue. I spoke to 30 people at Miller Road over the last couple of days. One was from Avon Lake. All the other people who went to the park there were from out of town. And you want to add more park space there because it's not utilized by the citizens of the city. A lot of people are coming from Avon, North Ridgeville, Lorraine. They'll come and use it, but the citizens of Avon Lake don't believe that they need to. Buzzer didn't go off. I thank you for that.
All right, anyone else wishing to come forward and talk to council? You got 5 minutes. Seeing none, I'll turn this meeting over to Mr. Kaz.
Find my language there. Thank you. I move that in compliance with Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G1, council will adjourn to executive session to consider the appointment of a public employee.
Thank you. I'm going to have everybody, the people that are needed, the mayor and Ms. Kerna and council and the law director to go to the council conference room so everyone doesn't have to move. If the clerk would read the roll, please.
Yes.
Mrs. Goodwin.
Yes.
Ms. Gentry.
Yes.
Mr. Koss.
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Shamir.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes. Okay, we'll go down to the council conference room. Roll.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Here, yes.
Mrs. Goodwin?
Here.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss.
Here.
Mr. Reynolds?
Here.
Mr. Shamir?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here. All right. We're reconvening to the open meeting at this point. The next item on the agenda is the Human Resources Committee meeting within the collective committee meeting. Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. The time is 8:05. The Human Resources Committee is called to order. This is a quorum meeting. We have committee members, Mr. Koss, Mr. Smith, and myself. So we do have a quorum. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes. The minutes from the May 18th, 2026 Human Resources Committee were previously distributed. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Yes, Mrs. Fenderbosh.
Yes, I'm not on your committee, but I was left off, and I was actually here. I came in late from the airport, about 15 minutes to the CCM, but for your meeting, I was here. If I could be added to the minutes, thank you.
Thank you. So with that one correction, do we still approve, or do we wait? Yeah, so they stand approved with that one correction. Next on the agenda is the Human Resources Director, Ms. Kernia.
Okay, if I use that. Okay, I want to do my report first, and then I'll need the computer. Thank you, good evening.
It's man's meeting.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Yes.
okay. Sorry. Just a couple of quick updates before we get to the fire chief and fire assistant chief job descriptions and proposed salary ranges. Starting from the top of the report, as far as staffing updates, we are finally concluded with our public works labor interviews and are preparing an offer for one of those candidates. That fills the last full-time open position for laborers in public works. We have a number of fire and police testing and assessments coming up later this month and then again in August. For captain in Avon Lake Fire, which is an opening due to retirement, we have testing happening June 16th from 9 to 11. And then there are 2 levels of assessment that captains and lieutenants will do. Captains is a little more in depth, obviously being a higher rank. That assessment is to be scheduled in August. Likewise, we have a lieutenant testing, which will happen also on June 16th from 9 to 11, and that assessment will take place August 29th. Additionally, we have testing and assessments scheduled for the Avon Lake Police Department due to retirement on June 25th, testing from 9 to 11, and an assessment in August on the 22nd. And then we look forward to potential appointment of a new city engineer for our engineering department. Once that takes place, we will be refocusing on filling the engineering Tech 1 position. Questions?
Any questions from the committee or council?
Okay.
Continue.
For the fire chief and assistant chief job descriptions and salary ranges, I have a couple of slides to share, so I'll do that when we're here. Okay. First of all, I wanted to thank Acting Chief Peter for his comments earlier in the meeting. Thank you. And I want to address a email that came in late today, almost at 6 p.m. this evening from Fire Lieutenant Forrest Mercer. And just to say, speaking from the administration and myself, we have nothing but the greatest respect and highest regard for our firefighters, including the Assistant Chief and Chief, and absolutely value their contributions, their professionalism, and their opinions. So we will get to all those things here momentarily. On the most recent Fire Chief and Assistant Fire Chief job descriptions, we proposed at the end of the last page salary ranges. And those numbers may or may not have to be adjusted a little bit. There's a note there in red that says may be adjusted. But the concern that administration has and the issue that we're trying to resolve is what's pictured here. So what you can see here are the green line, which is firefighters at their highest rank or highest pay. So step 5 firefighters and their annual salary. Fire lieutenants and their annual salary. And this data is from 2020, July 2020 to the end of 2027. Fire captain annual salary in light blue. I guess you can't see my pointer there. And then the next solid green is the assistant fire chief annual salary. The solid blue line is the police chief annual salary. We recognize that's not part of the fire department, but just as comparison, that salary is also listed there. And then in orange, the fire chief annual salary. And as Acting Chief Peter had mentioned in his comments earlier, and as you're aware, the firefighter, lieutenant, and captain salaries are all part of collective bargaining agreements. So we can track those throughout the end of the most recent collective bargaining agreement, which is through the end of 2027. The lieutenant, let's see if I have a slide here. This is the wages section of the collective bargaining agreement. Lieutenant's rate of pay is 13% greater than the top paid firefighter, so the step 5 firefighter, and the captain's rate of pay is 13% greater than the top lieutenant rate. And you can see those reflected here. And those are all part of the bargaining agreement, so those things are set. In, oops, I don't want to move on yet. In 2022, city administration instituted ordinances 2219 and 2220. I believe they're in your packet. One of those ordinances is on the issue of the assistant fire chief salary, and the other is on the issue of the fire chief salary. Both of the ordinances set the assistant chief salary at 15% greater than the highest captain rate. You can see that reflected here. And the fire chief's salary 15% greater than the assistant fire chief's salary. So as those salaries, through the natural progression of collective bargaining agreement, the captains receive their bargained for wage increases, therefore the assistant chief salary gets an increase and the fire chief salary gets an increase 15% over each. These salaries have incrementally grown larger and larger, as they should. We want to do the best for our fire workers, and we want to make sure everyone is fairly paid. Our concern is that when we look at salaries from the city, our city, compared to salaries of the fire chief and assistant chief at other cities, we're noticing that our salaries are a bit higher, specifically the fire chief's salary. And these numbers are also in your packet, but I realize it came out in 3 pages, so it might be more difficult to follow. This, the sheets in your packet and this Excel sheet reflect salary data collection that we've collected over the past year or so for the police chief, the fire chief, and the fire assistant chief for cities that are in Northeast Ohio, that are more or less our size and population and similar to our city. So we tried to consider demographic and size. And then in column S, you can see the police chief, fire chief, and fire assistant chief, current salary. And then columns T, U, and V, what you're seeing is a salary range. What we've taken in statistical calculations are the 25th percentile. Up in the text box there, you can see what the statistical calculation is. The 25th percentile of all of that data that's collected minus column S. In other words, the column S is not included. 25th percentile for each position, the 50th percentile for each position, and the 75th percentile for each position. And if you've been a part of salary studies or analysis in the past, this is how salary ranges are generally focused. And when you put the 25th percentiles, the 50th percentiles, and the 75th percentiles in a data set, it forms a bell curve showing that most of the salaries for, let's say, fire chief will gather within around the 50th percentile. Most of the people working in that job are making somewhere around that salary. And then the 25th percentile would be closer to maybe a person who's new to the position, just coming in with not as much experience. And the 75th percentile on the opposite end of the bell curve would be people who have been in the position for a long period of time or have come into it with a lot of experience. Something else to note in our Avon Lake current salaries is that our current acting fire chief, Mr. Peter, is receiving a stipend because he's acting fire chief. So that has affected the current salary in that data box. Can I answer any questions so far?
The question that I've got, I know that you have normalized again with 25th, and the 50th and 75th, but when I look at this, I see some cities, for example, Bay Village, doesn't have an industrial component. When I look at Avon, where there is an industrial component, I don't know how it compares to our industrial sector here. Are those taken into account, and are they reflected somewhere in your assessment?
The industrial component of the city makeup is not necessarily reflected in this data set. We did consider that, but in a salary study, there's only so much data that you can put onto one sheet, and that part of the analysis was not, the industrial components of the city was not captured in this data set.
Well, and the reason I'm asking is, if you want to make an apple-to-apple comparison for communities, I think industrial component really takes a big component, because you have to have a different capability set to deal with industrial fire issues and emergency issues than you would do in a mostly residential. So that's when I look at this and look at the cities, I'm just trying to see which cities would be actually comparable and which would fall off if you were to take that industrial component out. I would greatly appreciate to see that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Fenderbosh.
Thank you, Chairman. My question was very similar to yours, Mr. Shamir, with additional of one more point, and that is all of our firefighters are also EMS. All of these other communities, are they both?
Yes, the community is represented in this data set.
Because
the individuals working in these positions.
Right. The reason I'm asking is because the chiefs need to be over the same type of platoons. And then I have another question, if I could.
Sure.
And this leads up to where you're at right now. So there's 3 platoons, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Yes.
And there's 4 captains, because each platoon has a captain, correct?
Correct.
And then one captain is also the standards, the fire marshal.
Yeah, he was, he used to be assistant chief. He was brought down to be a captain to be in the.
So there's 4
4
captains,
captains,
correct? Okay. And if I understand correctly, those captains then are under the lieutenant. Is that correct?
The lieutenants are under the captain.
Oh, I'm sorry, the lieutenant's under the captain, but the captains are under the assistant, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So is the plan to go forward, because I see what you're doing with the assistant, with the chief, is a plan to reduce the 4 captains to 3 captains, and to have the assistant do the other one? I don't know what the plan is going forward.
No changes are planned in the current staffing structure.
Okay, so there
four
are no
captains would
changes.
stay
Okay, because
working.
I'm trying to also understand the email that we received. Okay, and I'm trying to understand the whole landscape. That's why I asked the question. Thank you.
I had a question. And this is on the topic. It's been asked of me by individuals in the community, and I know we spoke a little bit about it in our phone call on Friday, but the acting fire chief is given a 7% stipend as opposed to the 15. I just for the record, the rationale for that and why he's not getting the full stipend.
I can address that, and I'm sure the finance director and mayor can also offer their comments too. At the time that that stipend was granted to Acting Chief Peter, he had already been acting for a period of time, and we wanted to acknowledge his efforts and the extra work that he's putting in. We anticipated that the time frame for him being acting chief would be quite a bit shorter, and now obviously it's gone on for an extensive period of time. So I think it's something that we can talk about and consider, but that was the reason for, from my perspective, the decision at that time.
Yeah, and I would just add at that time, we still were paying for a fire chief at the time, but we increased that point, or that 7% as well. And then also knowing that we were going to be taking a look at this salary structure and establishing a salary range, we want to be cognizant of the fact that that range may change, or that top end may change. So we want to wait until that change occurred.
Okay, thank you.
And I wanted to answer another question before it's even asked. At no time, if these salary ranges are accepted as part of the new job descriptions, at no time would we be deducting salary from anyone.
Right.
So if for some reason they fell at the top of the range or outside the range, we wouldn't be taking salary back. We would simply use the range going forward to help determine salaries in the future.
Lynn? I didn't see all the ones in there, and I didn't get this information at all whatsoever, but I know like Lorraine, they don't do any EMS whatsoever, so that's not comparable.
Okay. Thank you for
And I'm not too sure everybody else if you have on there, but.
I'll get you a copy. Yeah.
Mr. Koss.
Yeah, thank you. Ms. Kernia, if I could have you go back to the, okay, so if you go back to the last slide where the ranges are, or the last
At the
section
end.
of that?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 25th, 50th, 75, that's a proposed range that is being put out there. Is that correct? That's the approximate range what the administration is looking for?
Yes, those would be the proposed ranges, or if we need to adjust this data set, if we need to remove Lorraine, for example, because it's not a
Okay.
comparable city, whatever that data set comes out to be.
Okay, yeah,
We would add
I'm
those.
fine with that. I just wanted to establish that that's the range. So I'm just trying to make all of this make sense in my head. So according to the email that we received from International Firefighters Local 1361, firefighter Mercer, he states that the current pay ranges contained in the proposal not only would make the salary of the assistant chief and chief start lower than the rank below them, it actually dips lower than 2 ranks below them. Example, starting assistant chief salary of 104,017, which I don't see that on there, that says 114, as proposed, is less than both a captain, 1 rank below, and a lieutenant, 2 ranks below. So are these proposed ranges lower than the ranks below them?
No, I think the 104017 he's referring to is from a different iteration of the job descriptions where we had a range listed there. We will be, if there's any salary range listed on the job description, we'll be updating that once council has reviewed and approved these salary ranges.
Thank you. Just for clarification, could you get us, you can, by email is fine as in preparation for the next meetings and all that, but could you get us what the current salary ranges are for the captains and the lieutenants?
Yes.
Thank you.
And then another thing that he might not have understood, and I didn't get any chance to respond to this email because we got it so late in the day today, but the 25th percentile, even for any position, is not the starting salary. The starting salary would be based on the candidate's experience and time served. So just because the 25th percentile report says 114,760 and some change for fire assistant chief does not necessarily mean that a person who's coming into that role into the city of Avon Lake would start there. So we can clarify that misconception too.
Go ahead. Yes, yes.
Thank you. Can you go back to the graph?
Yes.
So on that graph, I believe are the numbers that Councilman Cos is asking about. Because the fire captain is there in the light blue, kind of in the center, right? And so that would be approximately, well, over $100,000 there. That might be for December of '25. It could be up over 110,000. If we're looking where that blue line is, correct?
Correct.
And then we can certainly provide the actual numbers to you, but that graph is useful to see what's going on there if you're looking at December of 2025.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, the question I have, looking at the old ordinance, it was a 15% above the assistant below him at 15%. There's a 15% differential. Was that based on, it doesn't say, so my guess it wasn't based on base pay, or was it based on, or was the 15% come off above base pay, or was it above the highest rank guy, whatever, or girl, whatever they had in overtime?
That's a good question. These are base salaries only, so without any other incentives.
So this 15% was on the base salary only?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mrs. Fenderbach?
Thank you. Ms. Kernick, would you be able to supply all of council with the chart? Because that chart's very clear in past history and would be easier for us to use for projections.
Yes.
Thank you.
And thank you to the finance department for your help in compiling this chart.
Mr. Shamir?
Can I ask that if you could actually give us the spreadsheet that the chart is done, that way we get the actual raw data and the charts? Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Mrs. Goodwin?
Thank you. Kind of piggybacking off Mr. Shamir's first question is, does the fact that we live on the lake and we have water, like, does that increase any of their skill set, training, anything like that? Is that like another thing that should maybe be considered along with the industry?
I think that's relevant in many cases.
Yeah. I would say, because I was on council when this was originally passed, anytime you're doing a salary analysis, it's very complicated, right? There's so many factors that go into it. We talked about the industrial, we talked about the waterfront. So you can't just pick waterfront cities. If you did that, you'd be including Lakewood, Lorraine, and Cleveland, and, so it gets very complicated. I think Lynn has done a great job of gathering cities that were close enough in demographics, included some of those things, but not all, right? I mean, you could include a Beechwood and it would escalate everything, but we're not Beechwood. You could include Elyria, which is another one that is different. We haven't included Sheffield or Sheffield Lake or things like that because that would lower it. So we're trying to get those that are most demographically similar as we possibly can. And there's always going to be a way to attack that. There's a way to support it and there's a way to attack it. That's the difficulty in doing these salary ranges. And really what we're trying to do is just right size this, be fair to the chief, the assistant chief. We also have to recognize that we have to look at these ranges internally with the captains and lieutenants and make sure that they're all in good standing with those chief salaries too. So it becomes very complicated to find that balance. But as y'all know, we're dealing with ever escalating costs for personnel. And we want to pay our professionals what they deserve, but at the same time, the 15% is exponentially increasing. As you can see, back in 21, the police chief and fire chief made the exact same amount. Now the fire chief makes $18,000 more than the police chief. And that gap will continue to widen as we go forward. So we're trying to right size this whole thing, and it's a very challenging process to go through.
Any other questions? Committee or council?
I welcome council's feedback, or if there's more questions, shoot me an email. I'm happy to have a conversation. There's a lot to discuss here, so
Yep.
happy to continue that conversation.
And again, those ranges you have in there are just placeholders until we have a discussion with all of you and try to figure out where those ranges are best going to fit. So don't look at those as definitive. Those are just ranges that were plugged in.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is unfinished business. We have the city engineer, which we spoke about in executive session. Is there any further discussion we want on that? No? Okay. I move to forward the appointment of the city engineer to the council meeting on June 22nd.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That passes. New business. What we just spoke about, the assistant fire chief and fire chief salary ranges. Is there any further discussion on that from the committee or council members? Seeing none. I move to forward the salary range for the assistant fire chief and fire chief as recommended by the administration to the collective committee meeting on July 6th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then number 2 here, repeal the salary ordinance of assistant fire chief and fire chief. Any further discussion or questions on that? I move to forward the legislation repealing the salary ordinance for the assistant fire chief and fire chief as recommended by the administration to the collective committee meeting on July 6th. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's July 6th, I think.
Next up on the agenda, to reestablish the engineering department. Is there any questions or comments on that from the committee or council members? Okay. I move to forward the legislation reestablishing the engineering department to the collective committee meeting on July 6th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, and next up on the agenda is public comment or public input. Members of the audience shall be permitted to speak only once, up to 3 minutes on any agenda topic.
Robert Baker, Avon Lake resident. Mr. Chair, just a question regarding the salaries. As you were moving forward, we've discussed working out of class specifications for positions when it's typically common working in public safety that anyone is working out of class in a position that they be compensated for during that role, especially if it's long-term. Is your committee or the council giving consideration to, as a matter of policy and fairness as was discussed, given the situation where Mr. Zuber did bring forth legislation for council to approve that brought the assistant chief to 50% of the difference between the salaries between the assistant chief and fire chief. Given that the fire chief is now vacant and the assistant chief has been fully doing that, is there consideration to bringing the acting fire chief that is performing both jobs to the salary of fire chief as a matter of policy of working out of class?
Yes, we did actually speak about that a little bit earlier. I think you may have stepped out. But in order to bring it up, would that be something that we would start in committee? I'm not sure exactly of the process if we are able to, yes? So, yes.
So it is under discussion?
It will be.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Yeah, a few things I would like to state on there is, I didn't really see too much of this study and where all the study information basically came from as far as the curve and everything else. I know that when we basically went to the city and they wanted to get rid of the one assistant chief, that was part of the negotiations. It's part of the reason why we came up with the 15% differential. The reason why you're seeing the separation between the police chief and the fire chief or the assistant chief is we have a 4-tier structure, they have a 3-tier structure. I think when you're looking at range differentials and stuff along those lines, you also have to take in consideration of what the position is below them and what other people would aspire to actually become in those positions. If you want to do a salary range, I think some other things should be taken in consideration is the fact of there are chiefs in the region or whatever who do get paid extra for time that they serve out of their normal working hours, like going to an emergency call to actually perform at holiday functions, do anything along those lines, and we don't do that here. So where we may actually have a decent salary, we lack in benefits compared to a lot of comparables in the area. So when you're talking some of the, and I was waiting on some more information, but I think if you took some of our positions and salaries compared to even our counterparts underneath us, you'll find that the chief and assistant chief on numerous years were mid-level as far as what they made. Half the department was making more money than they were making just due to the fact of the overtime. So if you're doing salary ranges, there should also be some consideration for working outside normal hours and being compensated for those time served, basically not during normal working hours. You're kind of, didn't bring that today, but I'll bring it another time. Right now, I've been doing both jobs. I was nicely compensated the 7% during that time. That's the time when Jeremy was still being paid. It was commented at the time that he would like, the mayor, we had the discussion, said, you're probably worth it, you're everything else, we can't pay 2 positions. December 31st, they stopped paying Jeremy. I thought they would move forward and do something more. I asked about that. They basically commented that the money is tight. Obviously, the city's crying that don't have very much money, but yet they're not paying a chief's position of $150,000 a year, and basically having our department lack the 2 most important positions in there and having one person do it who can't maintain that. And that's been going on for 9 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? I move to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, the time is now 8:40 and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Next is the Environmental Committee. with Chair Mrs. Goodwin. You have the floor.
Thank you. The environmental committee is called to order at 8:40 p.m. There's a quorum of committee members, myself, Rob Shamir, and Jeff Smith. First order of business is the approval of the minutes. The minutes from the May 4th environmental committee were previously distributed. Are any corrections to the minutes? Being no corrections, the minutes are approved as prepared and published. Next is unfinished business. The deer management program, which I am actually going to, which is in your packet. This is a summary of the Avon Lake Deer Management Plan. I was going to turn it over to Public Works Director Liskovic to give a probably even higher level overview of what our steps will be moving forward. And then anyone who has any questions follow that. We'll go there. So, Mike?
I'll do my best to provide a pretty good overview. So, City of Avon Lake has been managing deer for approximately 11 years, if I remember correctly. And we've been contracted with the USDA for the culling services throughout the term of the program. It has worked to be a really good partnership for the city. Obviously, the USDA brings in their expertise. They also bring in the capacity capabilities to not only track, locate, cull a deer, but also then handle all the processing after the fact, of which all the meat from the deer does get donated to Second Harvest, which is a big win. We had a point in time, and I don't have all the metrics in front of me, where we did have a pretty large significant spike in deer vehicle accidents and deer pickups by the Public Works Department. That was a handful of years ago, and we've started to trend downwards a little bit. That with those, looking at the data and the downward trends, we've also worked with USDA to kind of reconfigure our agreement with them. We're now moved more into a maintenance agreement. Last year was actually the first year of that style. The year before was still kind of more of an active management style, which recognized some pretty significant reductions in expenses for the program. We also are at we roughly utilize 40 tags per season. I know the first year that I was here and we did the program, we hit the full 40 and we concluded the program. The last season we hit the 40 very quickly, and they had additional reconnaissance data that supported some additional tags. They worked with the Division of Wildlife, and we ended up doing 50 for the last season. And that decision was really kind of made because I did notice in some of the data there was an uptick in DVAs and the pickups. So we look at we do look at the data when making those decisions, and so does ODNR. They look at the data. We supply them, every season based on that. So, with that, obviously not looking to make any monumental changes. There's, at least from previous surveys that communities done, and then I mentioned last meeting, the ODNR survey, which has seen one additional comment since last Monday. So I continue to stress to everybody, look at it's Rob Rue and his team put it on the front page of the website. It's in the little carousel, so you can find it, and encourage residents to take that, because that really helps also guide the path forward with the program, so that we are making really smart decisions about it moving forward. So again, with this year's proposal from USDA, it's about $35,000 to, and that would be if we went a full 60 tags in the program. Again, we'll start with 40 based on response, and also looking at the metrics as we're gathering them throughout the year. And then with that too, I had actually a very productive conversation with Mr. Baker, who's with us tonight in the audience, about the program, about support that EAB can help, with the program. I know I talked to him about a number of topics, but one which was public engagement on the surveys and how important that really is. And I've looked at as a director running the program, USDA gives me kind of some of the back end of looking at those metrics. And we'll just use Bay Village as an example. They've got almost 300 responses on their side, and I can take a peek at that. So ours are, like I said, 26. So I don't know the best way to encourage residents to do that, but I think it's just making sure that it's out there, and then they're aware that they have the opportunity to participate.
Thanks. We'll try and help individually too as a committee to do that. Does anyone from the committee have any questions? Anyone from council? And I think we did have a conversation that the ODNR, we're going to try and get him on.
It's going to be when we get back from recess.
When we get back from recess, we will have
Jeff Westerfield
attend one of these meetings just as kind of an educational piece to help so that residents can start understanding maybe some other pieces of this deer management program that they may not have learned before. So just kind of revisiting that because I do think, and Valerie, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 10 years that it was previously done 10 years ago. So this is the first opportunity we've had in a decade to kind of open this back up. And so I think taking advantage of that for education is the right thing to do. So that will be when we come back from recess. And then if no one has any questions about that, I'll move on to the next, which is the composting survey. One of the environmental advisory board and therefore environmental committee initiatives is the is composting, and we were looking to publish a survey that would go out to via the city's marketing channels, that this could be posted to residents so we could find the best way to learn more about how they feel about it, if it's a program they'd be interested in participating in, if not, what kind of things they'd like to see. Mrs. Fenderbosch did send me a few suggestions, adding to question number 3 that there would be food composted at home. Number 4, that there are no septic tanks in Avon Lake, so that we could probably remove that. And then for option number 11, adding in that you would not participate, even if it was free or there was a charge to the service. So the intention of bringing that up was that we wanted to try and get that out now. So Ms. Rossmarin encouraged me to get this in front of the environmental committee so that we could move to get it out into the public. Is that okay? So I saw no issue with the changes that were suggested. If anyone else has any input, I would appreciate it. But if not, I would move to send this survey out to Rob Rua and all the city's communication channels. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, you're
Go
fine.
ahead.
I did want to offer, although small, just a minor correction. When you mentioned that there were no septic systems.
Okay.
We have 6 remaining in the city.
Oh.
So it is a very small percentage,
Okay.
but there are six still left.
So, okay, so we're not gonna remove that option just to be fair, right? Yeah, I mean, we have to include everyone, so, okay. So, we're not gonna include, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry, yes.
Mr. Liskovic, are they being utilized? Because when I was told 5, 6 years ago that there were septic tanks, I was told that they were not functioning.
That is not the information I received. They are 6 are active.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you for the correction. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And the reason that I'm bringing it up is that the goal with Avon Lake Regional Water through sanitary and through the county goals and the state goals with Ohio EPA is to eliminate as many as possible.
Thank you. Learned something new today. Okay, so we will keep question 4 as is, and then now I will make a motion to please, with the other 2 corrections, to send this out to Rob Ruiz' team for public dissemination. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then the last thing, I wanted to just inform the public that the Environmental Advisory Board has been invited on some field trips. They're going to be visiting the Avon Lake Regional Water, the wastewater treatment facility on Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. So that's just so everyone knows it's out there. They're also scheduling some visits with the Sustainability Center in Lorraine and the Rathland Soils, which is where the compost, the facility where compost is taken. So those will be coming, and again, that would be open to anyone who's interested. They could join the group on those visits. And then one last thing I wanted to ask, or I wanted to bring up was that we are working on a responsible, oh my gosh, Mr. Eber, I'm so sorry. The words have left my brain. Yes, and I just wanted to know if you could give a brief highlight on your discussion with Mr. Liskovic about where we stand with that.
Well, we talked about the type of bidding as far as using, how would I say, what was the term you were using at the time with, for the
It's like
recyclable materials and things of that nature, and I did talk briefly with Mr. Liskovic. The problem is the bids are probably gonna be higher. And you're stuck with getting the best and lowest bid, with the city, so you're gonna have a problem in most situations. And John, you can fill in as I talk, I did talk to John, yesterday, was it, or on Sunday? I think it was yesterday, and also the day, I think, so, yes.
Yeah, and I think is a good example, and I think I shared this with you. I know there was a brief discussion about, or well, for lack of a better word, the dog waste bags. Yes, thank you. And going into a compostable waste bag versus the non-compostable ones now. So I think we pay just roughly $40 a pack for non-compostable. Compostable ones are $60, and you may say $20 is not huge, but we go through thousands of them in a season. And then conversely, where do those compostable bags get thrown? In a non-compostable waste receptacle bag. So, case in point, like I think exploring alternatives to reduce waste. I know, as an example, Lorraine County Metro Parks and their concession stands, they went away from plastic water bottles to cartons for water, as an example. So I think there's lots of opportunities, but I think we also want to make sure that we're making probably the smartest decisions we can make moving forward to benefit everybody at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And I think too, the big idea with this whole process was maybe just maybe finding some opportunities where we can address this, like maybe on a big scale, like citywide, city-sponsored events, things like that. Seeing how we can maybe start there with 1 or 2 a year, and then move down the procurement policy. Thank you. It just popped into my head. So I think maybe the discussion definitely is not over. We can maybe see how we can work these in for the remainder of the year. But that was all I had. For now, I will move to, I'm sorry. Are there any questions or comments, committee members? Jeff?
Yeah, just going back to the field trips that the EAB is going on. Those are basically information gathering.
Yes.
And the public's welcome. So I don't think, and Mr. Eber could confirm this, that there needs to be minutes or anything like that.
That's
It's not
correct.
a meeting because it's informational gathering.
It's not a meeting.
No.
So I just want that to be clear so that people might ask questions about that.
Thank you.
You got it, thank you.
Mr. Shamir?
Just an update on the environmental scholarship fund with Avon Lake City School Foundation. I still have not heard anything back from them, so I will be pursuing that further.
Thank you. I'll bring
Thank
that back to the group too. Thank you. Ms. Gentry?
Yeah, I was wondering if there's been any progress or will there be on including HOAs in the trash when we do that. I don't know what the time frame is for that contract.
We were, Mr. Liskovic and I were going to talk about that, I think, when we came back from council recess, because we were going to try and get the ball rolling on that this fall, because it just the way it all works, that maybe when we have to talk about it next fall, I think then we'll be ready for it. So that has not gone unheard. It's in my list. I just have to. We're just not there yet.
Yeah.
But
no, I
it's
didn't
on
know.
my.
Okay.
It's on my radar. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Anything else? And now we'll move to public input. Members of the audience shall be permitted to speak only once up to 3 minutes on any agenda topic. Anything from public? All right. With that, I move. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Do I hit the green? Oh,
No, I did.
Hi, I'm Vince Chavone. I'm speaking in my capacity as Vice Chair of the Environmental Advisory Board. I'm here to talk about the procurement policies. This is something that the Plastic Reduction Working Group of the Environmental Advisory Board spearheaded. Councilwoman Goodwin was good enough to bring it before you. I just wanted to speak in support of those. This is something that the EAB unanimously supported. These changes to procurement policies would help the city more comprehensively reduce unnecessary single-use plastics in its operations. Importantly, these amendments would not constitute a blanket ban on plastic products, but rather just to establish a thoughtful framework that prioritizes reusable and less wasteful alternatives when they are practical, available, and cost-effective. Single-use plastics provide convenience, but they also create long-term environmental costs. Plastic waste can persist in the environment for decades or even centuries, contribute to litter in our parks and waterways, and generate ongoing disposal costs. As a community located on the shores of Lake Erie, Avon Lake has a particular interest in reducing plastic pollution and protecting our natural resources. The proposed amendments strike a balanced approach. They recognize that there are circumstances in which plastic products may still be necessary due to cost, availability, safety, or operational requirements. At the same time, they encourage city departments to consider alternatives when feasible and to lead by example in responsible stewardship. Many communities and organizations across the country have adopted similar procurement practices because reducing waste is often both environmentally and fiscally responsible. Choosing durable or reusable products can reduce long-term purchasing costs while demonstrating Avon Lake's commitment to sustainability. The Environmental Advisory Board recommended these amendments because we believe they represent a practical, measured step toward reducing waste without imposing undue burdens on city staff or residents. I respectfully encourage the committee and city council to support these procurement policy amendments. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah.
Yes.
No question, but I just want to comment. I had a chance to review the reports you guys did, and the subcommittee, I would imagine, did this work.
Yeah.
Along with yourself, and it was extremely well done. So I want to thank you for all that work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I agree. And I do just want to reiterate, I don't think, like, this conversation definitely isn't over. I think we just need to have all of council spend a little bit more time with it, and we can kind of go from there and see maybe how we can work it into some future planning, especially when it comes to budget season. So is there anyone else in the audience? No? Okay. I move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Oh, all in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes the environmental committee meeting as part of the collective committee meeting. We're on to the next portion of the collective committee meeting. First on the agenda is Mr. Shamir to discuss the power plant redevelopment developer readiness update. Mr. Shamir.
So we had an Economic Development Committee meeting earlier today at 6 p.m. and a number of issues were discussed. When it comes to the power plant redevelopment issue is, the issue that was brought up is that during the 1219 passage and discussions, there were conversations with respect to developers waiting to come forth. And I guess the next question is, where are they? When will we see those developers in front of council at least, or in the public, to understand what initiatives are going to be moved forward? And I think Mr. Esborn and his team will be addressing that shortly. I would also like to follow up with what Mr. Haas made a mention with respect to the Job Growth Incentive Program. That initiative was proposed to the law director on February 23rd. We submitted the email on the 23rd of actually February, and it would be greatly helpful to get that document sent back to us. But conceptually, what Mr. Haas was saying was a bit different than what the intention was. The intention is that the funds from that initiative would be now moved over to an economic development fund, and that's what's been stipulated, and that the economic development strategy would actually have objectives and targets, which would then move the funds towards those initiatives, and that would be tied directly to the economic development strategy. So it's not going into a separate fund and going into a general fund without having economic impacts, I think would not be prudent. And when it came to the selection committees, Mr. Haas made a mention that, well, the top companies would still be the winners, but the way that it was proposed that the top 4 companies would be a part of the selection committee. So those top 4 companies would be part of the selection committee and removed from being awarded a contract, as well as someone from the administration, council, and initially CIC, and then from the CIC moving to the winners of the prior year. And that would be done on an annual basis based on a gala. And again, forming an initiative that would be publicized in a manner that would attract business to the community. And the upside of this thing is what we were looking for. So the upside would be funds for economic development, not the general fund, and highlighting the businesses of Avon Lake. So that was the initiative that was initially sent. And I would greatly appreciate it if that document can be vetted and sent back, because it's been now since February 23rd, and we are in June. And the only other comment that I have is with respect to the economic development strategy. As I mentioned during the meeting, I have allocated June 25th through July 14th between 10 and 3 my time to meet and or assist through the economic development strategy both Mr. Esborn, the mayor, and whatever requirements that are needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
If I could, we
Mr.
were waiting until after that distribution of the, which we did this recently as far as awards, so we didn't tamper with that as far as the end of the year was concerned. That's the reason you haven't received it.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Thank you. I have a question for Mr. Shamir, if I may.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Shamir, have you taken a poll or have you involved small businesses in the plan for the new reiteration? And the reason why I'm asking is that oftentimes the owner of a small business has many hats, from the custodian who cleans the toilet to the marketing person. And I don't know that they would have the time to go through the application and all the hoops to compete for this particular one. That's why I thought that it might be of better use if it is a program that's completely sunset, and we start in our budget meetings by allocating money to the economic development director, if the economic director were to ask for it, for the progression of the economic development within the city of Avon Lake. So there would be measurables against that request. Thank you.
If I may. Yes. So effectively, we have seen historically that no funding is allocated to economic development. It's always an afterthought. So having this go to general fund would mean that the funds are secondary to economic development. And the focus, as we discussed during the budget meetings and thereafter, was to allow for allocation of funds to economic development. Now, you know, part of being a small business owner and growing your business is looking at initiatives that may bring about additional limelight as well as funding. So this would be a good mechanism for businesses to potentially throw their hat in, fill in an application. And I think that really needs to go from the economic development director out to the community. But when you sunset and remove the funding and then state that, well, if economic development sees the requirement for funding, then they will come and ask. That, I think, closes the door. What if the economic development does not request the funding? It could. The funds could be allocated to CIC, where those funds would be available to economic development initiatives, rather than general fund where it could be reallocated for something else.
Thank you. Yeah, Mrs.
Yeah,
Fenderbosh,
sir,
go ahead.
so prior perhaps to you being on council, I was the one that recommended and actually came into the budget to seed the department of $500,000 when we knew that there was going to be a power plant project before us. So by stating that it's never been there, that just isn't the case. There was $500,000. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Mr. Shamir.
However, since that 500,000, we have not had funding to follow up economic resiliency and what was stipulated by that program. So we did a project which the city approved and this body approved. Recommendations came from that project, and we don't have allocation of funding because there is no money. So I understand what happened in the past, but if you don't have funding for an initiative that is so important that our jobs, taxes, and tax bases and income tax depend on, then we have a problem. So allocation of funds to CIC, where it's now going to businesses, is not a major issue. I think it's allowing to have funds available so the next time we come through economic resiliency with recommendations or similar initiatives, that we can actually fund it. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question of, speaking of the redevelopment, Mrs. Goodwin, has your ad hoc committee been able to set a date yet? I want to make sure we keep that thing moving along.
Yes, this Wednesday at 7 p.m. In this room.
In this, well, wherever you want, you can have it in the
Well, I
conference
think
room
the conference
downstairs.
rooms are taken for interviews.
You want it this one?
This Wednesday's okay.
This Wednesday's okay.
Yes.
But we have to we have to establish our cadence and everything else at that meeting. So I know that there will be future conflicts in this room, but for this week, just to get it off the ground, we're going to do
It in here?
in here. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
At what time? What time?
7
7
p.m.
o'clock.
Okay.
And then from that, we will have the rest published for the
And Madam
yeah.
Clerk, if you make sure to get that on the,
Yes,
because we just got the list of committee meetings and the like.
right,
So it was not on there, so if you get that
No.
on tomorrow.
right. I will put it on.
Thank you.
and we
Mayor, you had your
circulate
hand
it.
up.
Yeah, real quick, I do support using the Job Growth Incentive Program funding and allocating that to the Economic Development Fund versus the general fund. I think it's important enough that we have to do that.
Well, I think so. I think that it's clear that the program that we had wasn't achieving the results that it needed, and that needs to be changed and reworked. I've said that all along. All right, anything else, Mr. Shamir?
Nope, that's it. Thank you very much.
All right, next is the Finance Committee, which I chair. Anyone have any questions at all on the 3-year contract with Zupka? It's attached there. We're going to be having that as an ordinance. All right, seeing none, we'll go on to the second one, which is the income tax credit reduction, which based on comments last week, a income tax reduction proposed ordinance was put forward, and I will turn this over to Mrs. Crossy at this time to discuss what I believe is now the administration's recommendation.
Yes, thank you, Council
thank you.
President. Yes, and based on feedback from council, we did move forward with having an ordinance prepared for a decrease in the income tax from 1.5% to 0.5%.
No, you're not talking about the income tax, you're talking about the credit reduction.
The credit, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
I don't want
Oh,
anybody to
boy.
get confused,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, we would be in trouble. I'm sorry, the income tax credit reduction from 1.5% to 0.5%. And I did confirm with Regional Income Tax Agency that they can separately track any increase in revenue based on this decrease in income tax credit so that it would go to a specific fund to be used for the purposes as stated in this ordinance. And this is worded just as the other ordinance was, that it would be at least 65% for the purposes of roads and not more than 35% for the purpose of storm sewers, related drainage, and traffic signalization and vehicles and other equipment. And also that this would be a sunset income tax credit reduction for 5 years. So, which was also proposed with the last issue. One thing I would like to point out to council is I have provided the list, you have seen this before, of local income tax surrounding communities and what is going on with their income tax rates as well as their credits. And of the 18 communities on this list, 10 of them do not offer a full credit. So a good number of communities have for quite a while actually not offered full credit. So we would be, moving along in that sense. And the other thing I would like to point out to council is because there would be no income tax rate increase, there would only be a reduction in the income tax credit, there will be more of a lag in the city recognizing the additional revenue because it will take time for residents to contact their employers, have them either withhold that residence tax or to set up quarterly estimates for regional income tax agency. So that first year of collections may not happen until later in the year, or even some of it might not happen until tax time in early 2028. So we might see a little bit of a lag, and that will affect how we budget. I am in contact with Regional Income Tax Agency to just clarify if they have case history on, what that lag might look like. So I'll get back with council about that. But I just wondered if anyone had any questions about this proposed ordinance.
All right. One thing that I will state is I think that the 65-35 that we had discussed before should be changed to 70% for the roads because I think of the amount that would be collected on this. The other thing that I am suggesting is that we have first reading on June 22nd, second reading on July 6th, and third reading on July 13th before we go on the break. And with that, any questions? Yes, Mr. Cos.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Council President. I support both of those recommendations, to change that to 70-30, and also your scheduling for this as well, too. My question is for Ms. Crossy. Said that this would go into a dedicated fund. Would this be a new fund that we're going to create, or is this an existing fund? And the reason I ask that is because if it's an existing fund, I just worry about other monies getting mixed in there. So could you talk to me about that?
Yes, no, this will be a new fund specifically for roads, and as a matter of fact, there would be two funds for the 70% and the 30%. So there would be two
brand new funds, one
Correct.
for one that could only be used for this, and one that can only be used for that.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yes, Mrs. Fenderbosh.
Thank you very much. I really am in support of reducing the credit. I think that is something that we can do internally. This is something that can bring fairness to the people that use the streets, for those that work outside of Avon Lake and those that are inside Avon Lake. Because right now there's there's such a small group of citizens that are actually their income taxes are going toward the Avon Lake. One of the things that I want to bring up is that I am totally against sunsetting, and I'll tell you why. It's a nice way to saying, we're going to give the residents, this is a short term, we're going to just have it for a very short period of time, then it's going to end, and it gets sound bites. One of the things that happens, and this is one of the things that I can share with the experience of being on council since 2008, is that at the time that this sunsets, that particular council is going to inherit then not only higher expenses because everything goes up, but now they're also going to inherit that property tax that we were going to be giving back, a percentage of. That's going to come to an end. So now you have to make up $1,099,000 a year, right? And plus, you're going to have to revisit this entire thing, and people do not want to pay more taxes. The city will be going through the same discussions that we're going through now. And it's going to be very hard for those councils to be able to predict in the future what they're going to be spending for their infrastructure if this has a sunset on it. There are times that a sunset is necessary. This is not one of those times. Infrastructure doesn't expire. Infrastructure is always there. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will oppose anything that has a sunset on it.
Mrs. Goodwin.
I would agree with Ms. Fenderbosh, because also I wanted to bring up with the House Bill 503, because if something happens with that, then we'll have to go through all of this again, and then we're talking about the state laws that we would also have to address. And again, just me personally, and being out and having some of these conversations with my peers, I cannot support anything unless there is like a mass amount of education behind this. For anything, I mean, whether it was an increase or reduction or anything, I mean, I think we really have to hit these next few weeks very hard to try and get the right words and information out there, because, you know, this is a really hard decision either way. So I think we need to be really on top of and ahead of the game on letting people understand fully what this looks like, and again, not for 5 years. I think this is a long-term investment in the community, and it needs to be presented that way.
Thank you. Ms. Gentry.
I wanted to agree with Ms. Vanderbosch with it's a very difficult decision. It hits me personally. I work outside of the city, and so this it's not something that we take lightly. I think we all have come to this conclusion based on what we've seen with the finances, and just the fact that for 2 years, and we're looking at the third year again, having no money for infrastructure. And I do concur with Ms. Goodwin. We have to communicate to people, because the people that I've spoken to, many of them have no idea that they're not paying city income tax. Their money is going to Cleveland or wherever else they're working, and they're not helping support our community. And we just can't continue down that path. And so I would agree. And as far as the sunsetting, I think you're right, because the infrastructure's not going away. So thank you.
Mr. Shamir.
Again, I think infrastructure doesn't go away. There is always a requirement. Sunsetting, I think, is a function of a number of different things, but whether it goes away or not, that's not my primary concern. Economic development has a very, very important role in this. Income tax generation is what pays for this. So people that work outside of the city paying their fair share is one component. But if we don't have a robust economic development strategy, then we can go down the path of residential without the view that if we don't have enough income on the income tax base generated, then we're going to have to go back out and ask for more. So that's the component that worries me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. Well, we'll have the first reading on this, and I think that based on what I'm hearing from council, the sunset provision should be removed for our first reading. Okay. Thank you. Next on our agenda is public service. Mrs. Fenderbosch.
Thank you very much. So this is real easy. What we have before us is some paperwork that needs to take place, that we have to pass ordinances to accept grants. I think that everybody's going to be happy about that. So maybe it's kind of nice to kind of end the meeting with a happy tone. So if you can look at your paperwork to support what I'm talking about. The Lake Road Sidewalk Program ODOT funding awards has an east side and a west side. So some of these we've passed, some of we have not. So these are going to need separate ordinances. So for September of 23, the city was granted $321,149. We need an ordinance to be able to accept that. May of 2024, the city was designated to receive $234,000. We need an ordinance to accept that. If you turn the page, at the top, it says October 2023, Lake Road sidewalk west, and all those were east that I gave you earlier. The city was awarded $1,802,700. We need an ordinance for that one. Another ordinance we need from June of 2024 for Lake Road West. These are different segments of it. $133,676 to receive it. We need an ordinance. And then February of this year, and this will be the total funding. This will be the end of it, right? February 2026, Lake Road West also, this is an agreement to Amendment 2 because we needed to, we requested to ask for more grants because there were more openings than what the engineer thought was going to be there. And so the amount came out to be $135,900. We need an ordinance in order to accept the monies there. Mr. Liskovitz, is there anything else that you would like to mention with this particular program?
I mean, I think you covered it really well. Like I said, this is just a little bit of housekeeping that needs to be taken care of, just so that we have all our documents in order and stuff like that.
Are there any questions?
Mr. Cos.
Yeah, thank you, President. Just a couple of questions. Mrs. Fenderbosch, are all these going to be brought together at the same time?
Yes, this will be for next week. They will all be separate so that they can be followed with the accounting. So it's going to say the date, it's going to give the ODOT PID number, the amount, and then the description, so that future councils can turn backward, and also the state auditor or CUPTA or anybody else, and they can follow the money.
Okay, thank you. And then I have one question for Mr. Liskovic, just on the
Go
program.
ahead.
Just on the program in general. Where are we at on this? When are we going to break ground on a sidewalk on the east side? Do you have any updates on any of that?
So with that, we are still working through right-of-way acquisition on the east side. It's moving along quicker, but there were some hurdles with the consultant that was doing an acquisition that we had to work through earlier this year. So we're still looking to have a sale date of the project this year. I can't give you an estimate though of when we plan on breaking ground for it at this time.
Do you anticipate it will be this year?
I have to look and see how many right-of-way acquisitions are completed and how many remain. I haven't looked at that within the past couple weeks.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. What's your intention on the ordinances?
Mr. Liskovic, are we able to have 2 readings on these so that we can have the vote then on July the, what is that, 13th, 15th?
13.
13th?
Yeah,
Is that going to?
that would work.
ODOT will approve that? Okay, sir, there will be 2 readings then. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Council President?
Yes.
I just want to comment real quick. I want to thank Mr. Liskovic for doing his cleanup work, and also our engineer, Chris Howard, for finding us additional money as the costs escalated due to some engineering shortfalls that our contracted, not Bramhall, but the other contracted ordinances, or I'm sorry, companies had. So both of them did really good work on cleaning these up. It's a very complicated project because ODOT's involved, so I appreciate the work that they did to clean this up and make it official.
All right, thank you.
If I could, yes, if I could
yeah,
add
go ahead.
something, sir. So all this paperwork, as the mayor said, was with Bramhall, and we needed to have it on our side. So I thank engineering and Mr. Bramhall and Mr. Liskovic.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Lisko. You, okay?
I just wanted
Go ahead.
to dovetail on the mayor's. Also, Director Crossy too was integral in the process of putting this all together.
All right. Thank you all. Anything, Ms. Gentry?
This is back on the Finance Committee. I think Ms. Fenderbosch just mentioned that there are only 2 readings between now and the end of the year.
Well,
so
they're not gonna have it on the special, there's gonna be a special meeting.
Got it, thank you.
On the 6th,
For the income,
just for the
income tax?
at this
Okay.
point anyway.
All right, thank you, sorry.
So they'll
I
do
just
it on
wanted to
2
clarify.
readings, yeah. All right, next, anything further from public service? Yes. All right, Planning Commission, Mr. Reynolds, to discuss the data center moratorium.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. First, I'd like to start off with just a little background as to how we got where we are right now. This was touched on in the Economic Development Committee, but I understand that not everybody saw that. So the administration, the city, recognized that we do not have a definition of data centers in our zoning code. So that is why this was brought to Planning Commission. And I just want to read the purpose of that, which was in the agenda that was distributed to council prior to the meeting and also was publicly available. The data centers are becoming more common and can have significant impacts on local infrastructure, including energy demands, water usage, and utility capacity. The current code does not define data centers as a distinct use. As a result, a proposed facility would be characterized under general industrial uses, which may not fully reflect its operational characteristics or potential impacts. It is believed that a standalone definition and use classification is warranted to ensure appropriate review and consideration. Essentially, what that is saying right now is that without a definition, an industrial or light industrial plan will just go to site plan review, and it would not have to go through council. So the objective of this, and in the discussion, was to make data centers, through making the definition, conditional uses, which means that they would have review at both Planning Commission and City Council. Now, there's been a certain narrative that has been creative that this discussion was a quote-unquote back door possibly for data centers to enter the community. I just want to nip that one in the bud. As Abraham Lincoln once said, you cannot believe everything you read online. This is not a back door. This is actually quite the opposite. This is shutting the back door so that data centers cannot come into the community under the auspice of a different permitted use. So, there has been some lively discussion. Unfortunately, not all of it has been based on the reality of what we are trying to do. It's also, there's been discussion on the opposite side saying that this moratorium is anti-technology, pointing out that there is a data center on 83 and Weber. Yes, I understand. That is not what we are worried about, and what the community is worried about. So, I did want to thank Mr. Shamir for his collaboration. We did have a very good conversation about this on Friday. And I wanted to read a section that is in the moratorium that was his suggestion that I think strengthens this moratorium and definitely gives the city more protection. That's section number 4, and that states, no data center zoning framework or other action authorizing data center uses shall be advanced to City Council for final action unless and until the city has completed an economic development strategy for Avon Lake, associated data center zoning, safety, infrastructure, socio-economical, community impact, and fiscal impact analysis. At least 2 publicly noticed public hearings or stakeholder engagement sessions, review by the Economic Development Committee, and subsequent referral to City Council. If these steps are not completed before the expiration of the moratorium, Council shall affirmatively consider extending or modifying the moratorium to maintain protections until the required review process is complete. Thank you, Mr. Shamir, for that addition. I think that this moratorium will give us the time, to come up with these definitions and a strategy as a council, as planning commission. And this is why I think it's important that we pass this. I would hope by July 13th, that would be 2 readings.
from my standpoint, I would have no issue suspending the rules and doing it in one reading. But the only question that I have is in order to strengthen it, I think it may be better to only have it for 6 months, and if we need to redo it in 6 months to strengthen our concept on this. So I'm just interested in why it's 1 year. I mean, believe me, I'm in favor of this moratorium. I want it to be as strong as possible, and that's the only reason I'm suggesting that. I don't want any misconceptions about that out there, because they come in fast and furious and very disappointing, actually, some of the stuff that I read. So I don't know what anybody else's thoughts are on that, or the law director's thoughts, whether that would strengthen it. I mean, I don't have any issue doing it for 1 year at all, but it seems to me it might be a little stronger if, we do the work, we go through, and if in 6 months we need to extend it, then we extend it at that time. So that's the only thing I have about it. Yeah, Mr. Shamir.
I guess I'll go to the beginning. The back door was not specific to a data center. The back door was reference to 1219. So the way that this thing was set up when it came out, it identified B1, B2, and B3 as potential edge data center capable. So that would allow, in the language, for data centers to go into the lakefront, into the area of 1219, as it was set forth. So that is where the backdoor comment came from. It wasn't that it was to bring data centers through a backdoor into the community. Now, I would also say that zoning should be used to implement a strategy, and zoning should not be a substitute for a strategy. And that is the reason for the framework that we discussed on Friday. And within that context, I think, at least based on what I see and how things evolve, to pull this economic development strategy together and all the subsequent documentation, it will take more than 6 months. So if we are going to do it, let's do it properly, and do the assessments, the economics and the feasibility, and move it through. 12 months is not that long of a period, and if it's done earlier, so be it. And if it's not, then we have stipulated that this could take longer. I mean, everyone wants to have economic development. We just need to understand what the impact is, and if it makes sense. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Mrs. Fenderbosh.
Thank you very much. I have a question for you, and then I have a comment. So the question, when you stated in your words, 6 months, I believe, would make it stronger, are you thinking that would apply pressure to the Planning Commission and Department of Community Development to move versus taking a longer time? Help me understand what that meant.
I just think that in the law, that you only need, that when it comes to moratoria, that you need to have the moratoria, and it needs to be in place only for the time that is needed for you to complete your analysis of the situation. I don't want a moratorium that is set out too long, because I don't want someone to say, we've set this out too long, and therefore our moratorium would not be valid. That's what my thinking is. And with that, we got an analysis from Mr. Shamir as to why it should be a year and why it should be longer. And our council record needs to have that all in there. In order that we have to have a record to show why we're extending it for as long as we are. So that's my thoughts on it.
I appreciate that. And now my comment. Based on 220.05 standing committees, both Economic Development Committee and the Public Service Committee lists Community Development Department. And as was discussed at the Economic Development Committee meeting, I propose that there be a joint group that joint committees of both public service and economic development that reviews and monitors these goals and the objectives of the Community Development Department as per the code that we have in place. And Mr. Shamir and I believe, agreed on that principle. And I just wanted to see if it was thought by the law director and by you, Council President, if we should add to the section that it will be reviewed by the Economic Development Committee jointly with the Public Service Committee due to our 220.05 code.
What are you thinking needs to be reviewed? The final ordinance or the final planning commission
No, in
action?
section four, where it states, and I don't need to read the whole thing, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the sixth line down. So no data center zoning framework or other action authorizing the data center uses shall be advanced to City Council for final action unless and until the city has completed an economic development strategy for Avon Lake associated data center zoning, that's underneath public service, safety infrastructure, that's under public service, socioeconomic community impact, fiscal impact analyses, and at least 2 publicly noticed public hearings or stakeholder engagement sessions reviewed by the Economic Development Committee, I would say joint Economic Committee and Public Service, and subsequent referral to City Council.
So the modification is public service and would be included and
Yeah.
public service. So
And we could certainly hold one of those so that not only are just your two committees
everyone,
involved.
that
Well, it'd be finance, but
Yeah.
there'd be six of
We'd
the
have it
seven.
at a collective
Exactly.
committee meeting, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't have any issue
Thank you, sir.
adding that language. Did you get that, Mr. Reynolds? And Mr. Law Director?
We did.
Okay,
Sure did.
all right. Yes, Ms. Gentry?
So I'm a little bit concerned that we may be over committing to the data center. I think we all understand we're talking about the big, huge buildings and things, but every business has a quote unquote data center where a server room basically. So I want to ensure that we're not preventing businesses from having a server room where they're supporting their own personal their business, which, you know, I don't know if Avient has other sites that they may outside of Avon Lake as well, that their servers may serve. So I want to make sure that we take that into consideration and allow for that business.
Yes, and that is a concern, and I think everybody here realizes that. So, when it comes to the moratorium, I guess.
So
Well,
I don't know the words to put in there that'll make that.
I know we'll just leave that to the law director to make an adjustment on
Yeah.
that.
I will take a look at it. No Avon just passed theirs recently too, as a matter of fact.
Okay, thank you.
I think
Let me give Mr. Cos. Go, I said on that issue?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
so. If you look at the zoning, the first item specifically refers to business-based server rooms, which are effectively in the same definition as data center. And I think if you were to include that as excluded in the moratorium, the rest of it is the next 3 are what fits
Right.
what we are looking at.
That's the language that
Yeah.
was in the original
Yeah, thank you.
zoning that planning commission looked at. I'm gonna go to Mrs. Goodwin right now, because she's had her hand up for a while.
It's okay. I just had one quick question. Because I know there's a lot of discussion at the state level too. What happens to us in this moratorium if we did only do it for 6 months? And then, because I do kind of see your point that kind of challenges us to we're on the ball, we're ahead of it, we're looking at it. But if something changes in the state, how does that affect this process?
In terms of, we're home rule. So, they'd have to say something that this is statewide concern. And if they did a statewide concern, I think we'd have issues with it. But I'm talking for the law director right now, and I don't mean to do that. But I'm just in my experience in moratoria, that's why I brought up that concern. Yeah, well, thank you. Mr. Kaz.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Shamir said what I was gonna suggest, and that's the reason why these definitions, I think, are important, is that we recognize that there's a lot of definitions for data centers. And I think we all have the picture in our head of what we don't think is beneficial to Avon Lake, and what we do is know that it's technically a data center that is either already here or is a part of, routine businesses. So I support the idea of having that exclusion in there. My other question on this is, as we are progressing through this moratorium on this, and we're looking to put together some of these tasks for this section 4, and we do know that certain types of these things, whether or not we have the land to do these or whatever it might be, we know that it's not in the best interest of the city with some of these types of facilities and all of that. So as a part of this moratorium and a part of these rules and definitions and strategies and all of this other stuff that we're going to be putting together, are we permitted, when we come out of this, putting all this together, when this moratorium ends, to have a prohibition in our planning and zoning code against those certain types that we are going to define? Can we prohibit those certain types, the other types of data centers that we're going to be identifying, and we know that probably 2 out of the 3 probably are the ones that people have concerns with, which we don't want in Avon Lake. We can go ahead and prohibit those as a part of the discussions that we're going to have when we come out of that moratorium. And I'm looking towards you, Mr. Law Director. Is that something that the city can do, is prohibit a certain type of business once we define it?
Yes, once we define it, specifically the definition concerning that.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Mrs. Fenderbosh.
Thank you. So part of the research that we're all doing, we're being exposed to a lot of different databases of information, and one of them is the Ohio Municipal League that our city belongs to. And they recommended that we look at New Albany because they have actually a toolbox for other communities to use. About a day after we received that information, or 2 days after we received that information, Cuyahoga County in Cleveland, they put together a toolbox. And one of the things that was very interesting to me is the idea of principal use, and if there is a server base within that principal use, like you're saying, Ms. Gentry, such as a manufacturing plant that already has it there, or a hospital or school, or even down the hall here, City Hall, the police department, fire department, on and on. What they listed outside of that principal use are 3 different types of data centers. An enterprise data center, where a data center facility is built and operated by the end user, okay? A co-location data center, and this is what's important, Mr. Kaz, that somebody could be applying. They offer a data center, but it's a rack space. So the first owner is going to be the person coming before planning, but you have to dig down deep as to what it is they're doing, because then they're leasing it out to multiple tenants. Another one would be the hyperscaler database, and that's what you're talking about. And these are miles and miles width by miles and miles long. So as we're working through this, I think that it's really important for us to understand those different types. And since you explained the 6 months to me, Mr. Smith, I see your point, especially with what is occurring with the state legislature right now. Thank you. We need to get it done.
Okay, any other comments on it? All right. We'll have, you'll have an ordinance finished up with some changes in it for us that you feel is strongest and that we'll be able to defend it.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Next is under Parks and Recreation Commission. Was there, I'm sorry, Mr. Reynolds, was there anything else from Planning Commission?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, Parks and Recreation Commission. Mrs. Goodwin to talk about the Anchor Facility Memorandum of Understanding.
Thank you. I do want to just start by saying that I'm definitely tag teaming this with Councilman Shamir. This is not a, because this was presented at the Economic Development meeting, and we had members of the Anchor Holdings Group here. I wasn't sure, is it appropriate for them to give a summary of what exactly this is and what they're looking for? Because
Sure, they can do that. If you'd like to come up, Dr. Remy or Mr. Shannon, if you got about 2 minutes, you can kind of.
Good thing we're at fitness centers because this is a marathon meeting.
Yeah.
Sure. This is a memorandum of understanding. We was advised by Mr. Ebert to produce this when we had a meeting, just to understand a bit more about what our hopes to do on the property and what would mean for the city for their next steps as the remaining part of 2026 elapsed, so that everyone had an understanding of what was going to happen on the property.
And this is the Anchor Facility, which is down in the old downtown.
Correct. This is
the
the
old theater
existing
area.
gym Anchor. It's not all of the stuff we just talked about that were the expansion parts.
All right. And we have a memorandum of understanding that's in front of us. Go ahead, Mrs. Goodwin.
I think the expectation is just that we review this. If there's any questions, I think I passed this out last week or 2 weeks ago to council so that everyone could review. Since we did talk about it in the economic development meeting, I think most of the discussion was already had. And just for my own knowledge, is there anything that we need to do as council to?
Go ahead, Mayor.
Yeah, we've been looking for any feedback from any council member on the MOU. So we are reviewing it administratively, but certainly would like to hear from council if they have any thoughts on it.
What are our thoughts about implementing it or moving forward with it?
Is that a question?
That's a question for you, yes.
Yeah, I mean, we want to move forward with the process. We just want to make sure the MOU protects the city's interests, the taxpayers' interests, as well as provides the city and Dr. Remy's group the best steps forward.
When are you planning on bringing something forward to council for our consideration?
Well, between the vacations that Aaron had and I had, I'm just back from yesterday, so we're going to be taking a look at it this week.
Okay. Any questions from council? Yes, Mrs. Fenderbosh.
Thank you. This is for Mrs. Goodwin or Mr. Mayor Spetzel. So the next process, but I think that if I heard everybody correctly, we're really excited about this. This is a fantastic opportunity for the community, and this is not in any way going to jeopardize what's going on over at Erie View. And we're very excited about moving forward. Is this something that council at the end of the day will need to even process, or is this something that administratively can be done? And because if Erie View is going to be moved into this summer, and we're still at the Anchor, and they need to get moving forward, is that MOU going to be occurring in like the next 2 weeks? Can somebody help me?
Yeah, we'll need council's approval for the MOU for me to sign.
That's why I was asking when you thought you're going to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it would be before recess then?
We hope so, yes.
Okay. Dr. Rummer, can you come back up again, please? I know it's getting late, but could you just expand upon a little bit? I mean, at the Economic Development Committee, which we had earlier, you expanded a little bit upon what your group's vision of this is. Can you expand a little bit for folks with the vision that you guys see with regard to this facility in the city?
Yeah, the 4 pillars, really everything is anchored no pun intended, at the anchor amongst these 4 pillars. So play is one of them, mind, body, and community. And so all of those pillars really reflect programming there that sits within those pillars. So when we think about that, so mind and body certainly have to do with fitness, have to do with things such as meditation, wellness, things such as better nutrition, have to do with weight loss, those sorts of things for helping people in that respect. And that's the continuum of generations. So teaching good practices to kids under the age of 5, all the way through seniors, as time elapses. So the programming will right fit and have different options for different things related to that. Certainly this is all anchored in and around a 24/7 fitness gym that's going to have AI equipment. And for those that don't know what that means, at a gym, there's not anyone around here that certainly has a lot of these pieces of equipment. We would have a couple pieces of equipment where people would have the fob. They would actually be able to use it against their AI. It would remember who you are. It would say, oh, Ken Remy, you did a great job of running only 14 steps yesterday on this machine. We'd like to step it up to 28 steps today. Or in the mirror, for instance, which will show you your body type. It'll show you over time actually how to improve those sorts of things with AI technology. And then of course we'll have standard fitness gym equipment, both universal and TRX machines that people will be able to use as well. So that clearly is part of the fitness aspect of it all. The community part certainly engages big different events. We talked about farmers markets. We talked certainly about the options of having a New Year's Eve type event in many of these events. We see this as a complement to what happens across the street at the Miller Road Park. I mean, if you think about it, we talked about the Fringe Festival. I wasn't joking. I think this city would have a great opportunity to have something similar to a Fringe Festival. I think this city would have a great thing to have Battle of the Bands. I think the city could have a great craft brew and sort of wine party, festival as well. And if you think about that, that can tie in across the street, and it can tie into the anchor facility as well. And then with community, you have the ability, we talked about the upstairs, where we would have the option for karaoke events where teens can have, gaming and those sorts of things upstairs. People would have a meeting space to have their fantasy football drafts and those sorts of things too. A welcoming environment, but also when kids are downstairs in the gym, parents and others can be upstairs and have a meeting spot as well. So sort of all of those pieces, and as things grow out, a lot of the programming grows. Now it's anchored, frankly, upon obviously the evenings are rentals for most athletic events. Continuing also with the fitness activities that go on 24/7, and then that multi-purpose space. The daytime is the one area that probably a lot of folks, even on the weekends, would definitely benefit from. And the populations that we really think about certainly are our seniors, those that are homeschooled, which is another opportunity for children that are homeschooled or that have sensory needs or adaptive needs. And then finally, single parents or parents that have children at home, people that are stay-at-home moms or dads. And so being able to find programming that could do that, I think, is important. So we've been certainly throwing out ideas. We want this to complement what's going on at Erie View, because certainly we've got 26,000 people, and we've got, I think, 24% of that is actually those living above age 65. Not everything is going to be able to be delivered at Erie View. Certainly we want to have some things that could be delivered at also the anchor that actually would accommodate whatever people's interest might be.
Well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Any further questions for Dr. Remy or on this matter at all? Yes, Mr. Shamir.
I think I'd just like to make a comment. As earlier discussed in the Economic Development Committee, this would have a upside for the city as it would attract people into the community, as there is no such initiative anywhere within the 30 to 50 mile radius. And there's a potential economic development aspect to the whole initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Goodwin,
And-
you get to finish this up.
Thank you. Again, this is very exciting, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. And I wanted to ask, mostly out of the Parks and Rec Commission, is there anything that you need from that group? Anything else aside from council review and passage and from the mayor's standpoint? But is there anything else from like the commission standpoint that you?
We need anticipated programming needs.
Yeah.
And can you?
What would be needed at the anchor facility as it is? So outside of Erie.
They need to get you on mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just say it again.
So we would need the anticipated needs at the anchor facility
So does that
from
look-
Parks and Rec.
does that look like a menu, a schedule, a?
Yeah, so it's going to be what needs to be offered or covered, right? And then what the schedule what they would like the schedule to be. We'll need to move it a day or two to make it all work. But it's in the document. We did leave a separate page for that.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Does that take care of it?
I'm good. Yep,
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you both for staying.
Yeah.
We're on to the discuss legislation as part of the collective committee meeting, second readings. We have the ordinances regarding the fire chief and the assistant fire chief and the job descriptions. Anything further on any of those? All right. Next, I'm looking at the legal representation ordinances. Any questions on those to pay for the legal fees? Next, out of my committee is, in second reading still, is the donation to community resource services. They do fine work for us in the city and helping those that need help. Next is a resolution to prepare and submit an application for the Ohio Public Works Commission under second readings. Anything on that for anybody? Next is a resolution in support of the Public Works Department Sensible Salt Program. That was presented last week. I thought it was a very good presentation. Anything on that one? And the last one is the creation of an ordinance creating a class action lawsuit settlement, fund number 708, with specifics for that fund to get the money from those collections. All right, that gets us through the second readings. First readings, there's the authorization for the contract of Zupka, the ODOT funding awards, and the income tax credit reduction. Anything that I'm missing there? Yes, Mrs.
Yes.
Fenderbosh?
The first reading would also have to be on all of those grants with ODOT.
The ODOT funding award.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the grants. So there'll be several ordinances on that.
The memorandum?
Oh,
Memorandum.
Yeah,
Moratorium.
yeah.
Moratorium, sorry.
Moratorium. That'll get me some comments probably. The moratorium, we'll have that first reading. And Mr. Reynolds, are you planning on suspending the rules on that one as emergency?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
First read.
On the first reading, yeah. On the first reading. I think that that's pretty clear that that's what needs to be done. All right, anything else? Yes, Mr. Cottis.
Yes, thank you. I have three very quick things to mention. One, I will not be at next week's meeting. I will be on vacation. The second one is the Public Safety and Health Committee meeting will be on Wednesday, July the 1st. And we have one topic on that discussion, and that is going to be e-bikes. So I know there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of concerns from folks about that. So we will be discussing e-bikes at that meeting. So the public is welcome to attend or contact your council representative if you have specific things, or contact me on that as well too. It's going to be kind of a broad discussion overall on it. So we're not going to limit it too much on the topic. We're going to talk and listen to the community and hear what the concerns are with regards to e-bikes in the community. And then the third thing.
Before you move on from
Sure.
that, I do have to say that it just seems like every day that we're reading more about children in particular getting in accidents on those e-bikes. And just ask the parents, please, 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 pay attention to what your kids are doing. Know that they have it, make sure they're wearing helmets. And I think I speak for most everybody up here, if not everybody. So,
Helmets are the law. Helmets are the
Yes.
law in Avon Lake, yes.
Yeah,
But also familiarize themselves with the laws of the road.
right, you know. So it's a very dangerous situation, just like texting and driving. Anyway,
Absolutely. So we'll be discussing that on the 1st, so hopefully we can spread the word on that to the community and they can speak up and turn out to discuss that. And the third thing I want to mention, I want to thank the Avon Lake Historical Society and their 250th Jubilee group that put together the Taste of Avon Lake Great American Bake Off this past Saturday at the Avon Lake Public Library. Specifically, I want to thank Mike and Lisa Offlin, who oversaw it, and their family, and all of the volunteers that helped put that together. There were close to, I think, 60 entries in that. Every cakes, cookies, breads, pies, I mean, everything was there. And I was one of the 4 judges for that. And I tried every single one of those 60, every single one of those 60 entries, and they were terrific. There was a lot of talent, baking talent in this town, and it was a lot of fun. So thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Offlin, for inviting me to be a part of that. And congratulations to Mrs. Fenderbosch, who placed, I think, first place for one of the pies. And there was a lot of tough competition. So thank you again.
all right, thank you. And congratulations, Mrs. Fenderbosch.
Thank you, it was a lot of fun.
All right, anything else? All right. All right, seeing nothing, collective committee meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening, everybody.